Hi, you're watching Weekly World Climate Change News. The World Bank Group faces condemnation for continuing to support development of fossil fuel. Over the last 5 years, its support to gas and oil has risen, while coal profited from indirect subsidies. The bank continues to provide huge amounts of funds for fossil fuels, undermining its own efforts for renewable energy as well as the Paris climate goals. A World Bank spokesperson defended its record, stating that the financial was approved years ago and that the bank approved $20.5 billion in financing climate action. The fourth UN Environment Assembly's panel discussion on the impacts of marine litter addressed the role of environmental justice on communities affected by marine litter and microplastics pollution. Marine litter and microplastics pose great risk to vulnerable communities and their health and livelihoods. Marine litter and microplastics can be 1,000,000 times more concentrated with chemicals compared to the contaminated surrounding water. According to the panelists, international actors should develop better innovative goals to handle marine and microplastics pollution. National development plans should integrate indigenous knowledge on conserving resources, and state and non-state actors should allow for transparency in access to information by all stakeholders, especially directly affected communities, to enable them to secure their rights to a healthy environment. Ocean pollution from plastics is nothing new, but a study which started more than 5 decades ago, monitoring plankton in the oceans as indicator of water quality and a source of food for a big part of marine life, has produced alarming data. The unique dataset was published in Nature Communications and found that more than half of the plastic recovered from the sea was from discarded fishing lines and nets. Major streets of London were blocked by a group of climate change protesters. The protesters blocked Marble Arch, Piccadilly Circus, and roads around Parliament Square in London. The protest was led by the group called Extinction Rebellion, which is famous for its harsh protest style based on civil disobedience that usually leads to some arrests. The Transport of London suspended bus service during the protest. The headquarters of Shell was vandalized with damages more than £6,000. 52 protesters were arrested. Last year, banking giant HSBC disclosed its new policy to stop financing coal power projects around the globe. The catch was that the globe as understood, but HSBC did not include Bangladesh, Indonesia, and Vietnam. What's more, the bank's destructive investments are not limited to air pollution. While it put £43 billion into fossil fuels in the last 3 years, it allocated the considerable sum of £18.9 billion to investments in the arms sector. On occasions of HSBC's annual meeting, 350.org is organizing a campaign to shame the bank in the eyes of its shareholders and make them aware of what HSBC has been trying to hide: its scrupulous investments. After world leaders failed to agree on any concrete future plan to stop marine plastic pollution at last month's Nairobi summit, Nordic countries have taken the situation into their hands. On April 10, 2019, their environment ministers met in Reykjavik and sent out a formal appeal for a global treaty to save oceans from plastic pollution. The hope is that the initiative will inspire other countries to step forward and back up the proposed treaty. World Wildlife Fund, too, is advocating for a global, non-binding treaty with clear targets and a support system for developing countries. The meeting of Pope Francis and Greta Thunberg today is the getting together of the two most influential people in the world in the fight against climate change. The two, sharing the commitment to avoid and reduce the effects of climate change, will meet in private audiences in the incoming days. The meeting is raising hopes that the world leaders will reconsider and take the necessary measures against climate change. This were Weekly World Climate Change News. We hope you will join us next week.